Helicopters dumped water over a burning forest in South Korea on Thursday as fire crews struggled to contain the country's worst ever wildfires, which have so far killed 28 people, forced at least 37,800 to flee their homes, and destroyed thousands of structures and vehicles. Multiple wildfires fueled by the strong winds and dry weather have been raging across South Korea's southeastern region since last Friday. The government has mobilized thousands of personnel, dozens of helicopters and other equipment to extinguish the blaze. But the gusty winds are hampering their efforts. The fatalities include a pilot whose helicopter crashed during the efforts to contain a fire on Wednesday, and 4 firefighters and other workers who died earlier after being trapped by the fast-moving flames. Authorities so far say that the fires were caused due to human error. Let's go across to Zerin Osho, the Director, Institute for Governance and Sustainable Development, is joining us live. A very good morning. Thank you for joining us. Help us really understand. Now, earlier this year, there was the Los Angeles wildfires. To now in South Korea, really, how would you say the climate change is sort of being responsible for what's happening in South Korea right now?
Thanks, Priyanka, and good morning, and thank you so much for having me on the show this morning. And you've rightly pointed out it's uncanny, the similarities between what's happening, unfortunately, in South Africa with what had happened in Los Angeles. And I think the most common factor in both these geographically distant places is the phenomenon of dry winds and heat spells during the wildfire season, as they're called. So in LA, in California, we had the Santa Ana winds that were basically these really dry, arid rainless winds that were carried from the central mainlands to the coastlands. Something similar is happening in Korea. So Korea also has a lot of wildfires during the autumn season. That is also because of, the drier winds, lesser rainfall. But within the first 3 months of this year, we're still in March, they've already had about 244 wildfires, which is about 2.5 times higher than what they experienced last year. So I think one common phenomenon that has to be taken into consideration is the fact that as temperatures are increasing, and one would imagine that as temperatures increase, the linear impacts of climate change would be seen. So they can be calculated by climate models. Unfortunately, that's not what's happening. That's not what's happening. You have non-linearity and these fat tail risks that are associated with temperature rise. So even if there is a percentage increase in temperatures, extreme weather events do not increase linearly. They are going to be non-linear and fat-tailed. So that basically means the extreme climate or extreme weather events are a lot more frequent, a lot more unpredictable. And unfortunately for South Korea, what has happened is it is a country that has a high density of pine trees, and pine trees have a lot of resin, which act as a fuel with the winds. And to make matters worse, it seems that rain is only expected to come by tomorrow. So we have another 24 hours to see how this will pan out.
All right, Ms. Osho, thank you so much for getting us all those details and really sharing your insights on the climate change and its impact on the wildfire that's been reported in South Korea. Thank you so much.